Thank you for joining us today for another episode of PTZOptics Live. Today we are doing a makeup stream because Friday we had a little bit of an issue, but that's okay. So I'm going to get right into an introduction and then play a recording from Friday. We had a little bit of an issue, which was an FFmpeg issue on the YouTube side. So luckily Zoom was here. We always host our live streams with PTZOptics with YouTube and Zoom. So Zoom actually ended up saving the day. So this will be our makeup live stream here. We had a couple jokes about the dark side of video conferencing. I'm just going to do a quick intro to, and then we're going to go to the recording that you can see behind me here. 11% of people actually don't wear pants during video conferences. Kind of the dark side of video conferencing, if you will. So with that being said, we are now doing a donation every single Friday, every single webinar. We are giving a donation to some type of charity. That this Friday we are doing the National Forest Foundation, which our donation of $20 will do 10 trees. So in this webinar, you're going to be introduced to Andy Chatfield, the tech support technician. Matt Richards, he is our partner manager, and then Margaret Willman, who is our channel development manager. So all those guys are going to get a nice introduction in this webinar. We're going to talk a little bit about the new tech NDI for those of you who are in the broadcast market. Really quickly wanted to give out my email address, paul.richards@ptzoptics.com. Feel free to email me. We'd love to have you on the show. We're going to go over application diagrams. Again, this is the system design webinar. So we're going to have all kinds of system design stuff to talk about, including PoE, the IP joystick, configuration, and we're going to have Matt Davis on the line, who is our product manager. So we're going to go over all the products, the demo units that are available at 35% off for eligible audiovisual dealers. We're going to go over the new IP joystick, IP streaming, and IP control. We're going to take you through the knowledge base very briefly. Andy Chatfield's going to show you that. We're going to have installation pictures that we're going to show off from some successful installations. Some open source control software. We're going to go how all that works. We're going to go over a live installation pictures. I guess we talked about that. The IP interface, we're going to look at the back end of the camera and how all that works. There's some changes there with H.265, MJPEG streaming, multicast enablement, stuff like that. PoE from Wi-Fi Texas, not Texas Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi Texas, we'll talk about that. The marketing campaign in a box, which has all the data sheets, manuals, pictures, and images and stuff like that. We'll talk about the new tech TriCaster control that we've just integrated. We'll take you on a website tour. And we'll talk a little bit about compatibility, what we know is compatible, what we know is not compatible. And that is really it. So again, we pre-recorded this baby on Friday, and we're going to go ahead and launch it. So thank you for watching, everybody, and being a part of this. For being here, everybody. Also wanted to thank everybody who stopped by at InfoComm this year. That was a really fun show, and we appreciate seeing you all. Partner webinar is going to be recorded, so everyone who missed this can also watch it after the fact. We're going to introduce you to the channel managers. We're going to introduce you to our lead support technician. He's going to talk a little bit about the website and how to submit a ticket if there's anything that needs to be done. We're going to go over the product line, a little bit about the customer journey. We're going to go over a little website tour, talk about the camera functionality, installation, and so we have some installation pictures, some design concepts, fields of view. We've got an online system builder, and we're going to talk about working with USB extension, PoE, all the mounts and everything, the different versions of camera control, and then we're going to have a quick question and answer at the end. You want to take this slide, Matt?
Sure. Oh, this fun one. So the dark side of video conferencing, the fact that 11% of users aren't wearing pants. Now, does this mean they're wearing just boxers? Are they wearing shorts? I have no idea. But it is intriguing to think about.
Yeah, that's a study by Inc. Minda Zetlin. She also said that 11% of users don't bother to get out of their pajamas, surprisingly, which we thought was kind of funny. There's a new deal registration program. You guys should write this down. It's going to be emailed to you, but ptzoptics.com/deals is where you can register your deals and everything. And I'm being asked to speak louder. Turn the gain up a little bit here. You can go there and register your deals and register it with a participating distributor. And so, yeah, they're turning me up now, so hopefully I can be heard a little better. Margaret Willman
Sounds good, Andy.
is our new channel development manager, and here's her email right here. You can set up lunch and learns with her, schedule camera demos, talk about strategic partnerships, and do all of the channel enablement. Matthew Richards, who I believe is here. Yeah, so we could, Matt, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. For anyone who was joining the webinar yesterday, you already heard my spiel, but I am the partner manager. And I just want to say thank you for coming. And I'll be your main point of contact for pricing questions, availability questions, the deal registration, and basic product support questions. So never hesitate to just reach out to me.
Great, thanks, Matt. And then the other person we wanted to introduce you to is Andy Chatfield. Andy is our lead support technician. Many of you may have already worked with him. He does our tech support, our ticket assistance, product compatibility testing, and pre-sales testing. And then, of course, he is the administrator for the knowledge base. Andy, you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. Hi, guys. I'm Andy Chatfield. I'm the head of tech support here at PTZOptics. I've probably already spoken with a lot of you. If you ever had any issues with your cameras, you most likely called up and got me on the phone. As Paul said, I also manage the knowledge base here for the PTZOptics cameras. If you go to PTZOptics.com, the knowledge base link is in the upper right. You can go there. Things are sorted out pretty well. Everything has keywords for the articles, so you should be able to search and find exactly what you're looking for. If you need to submit a ticket, if you don't find what you need on the knowledge base, you can submit a ticket right from the knowledge base. So that is the best way to get a hold of me. You can also call the main number on the webpage and ask for Andy Chatfield or support, and you will get a hold of me as well.
Cool, thanks, Andy. I'm just really quickly sharing the knowledge base here. As you can see, Andy has it pretty well organized into streaming, camera control, extensions, camera tools, a lot of third-party integrations, and then camera issues and just general Q&A.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Andy. And then Matt Richards is going to be your contact to get the campaign, the marketing campaign in a box. So this has everything you would need for marketing, such as logo files, pictures, data sheets, pricing, PowerPoints, all of that, including this PowerPoint. All of that will be in there. Take this one, Matt.
Sure. Demo units. They're available, 35% off MAP. You can sell it after 1 year, and you're allowed a maximum of one of each SKU per year. Or if a new model comes out, you can also obviously replace it at that point.
So we took you to the knowledge base. That's just there as a reminder. But we thought we maybe start off with a couple installation pictures that some of our customers have sent over. Here's a picture of the PTZOptics camera in white there, and that is being sent, or that is with the flush wall mount, or sorry, ceiling mount.
Yep.
So that's the ceiling mount. I believe that's an SDI model there that they were running.
Yeah, I believe so.
Here's another installation picture. Matt, what mount is that?
So that's our new pipe mount. It allows you to mount it upright from a 1-inch pipe from the ceiling.
Yeah, so I think here's a better picture of it there. So that's a 1-inch pipe mount there?
Yep, exactly.
Gotcha. And then there's a picture of it from the behind, so you can see that the cables can go right through.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So some of the new features that we've been talking about the past few months are the 1080p 60 on the 3G SDI, but also on HDMI and USB 3.0.
Yes, that's correct.
The H.265 is kind of a big deal. We're going to look at that in more detail. In fact, I'm already logged in to the back of one of the cameras here, and as you can see, for the primary and the secondary stream, there's H.265 options, and I know, Matt, you'll go into more detail on that.
Yeah, when we get to that spot, we can dive a little deeper.
And then the dual streaming is also another big thing. Again, as you can see here, the first and second stream options and the different compression algorithms that you can use, which of course we'll go into in more detail. So you want to just briefly explain the product line, Matt?
Yeah, so in the PTZOptics line, as some of you probably are already aware, we've got a 12x version, we've got a 20x version. Outside of that, you have an option of SDI or USB 3. Outside of that, you've got network streaming, the live live interface. You've got HDMI outputs. You've got composite video. You've got your line in, RS-232 control. This kind of goes on and on. That's the same across every camera. You really wind up with different fields of view. So you've got your 20x sitting at 60.7 degrees. And the 12x at 72.5. So they have their different fits.
Okay, great. Wanted to mention that we do have a PoE solution.
Yeah, so we've been working with Wi-Fi Texas.
Oh, it's Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
Texas.
Wi-Fi Texas, not Texas Wi-Fi. And in working with one of their inside sales guys and engineers, they suggested the model that's listed here, the WTGAF 12V12W. This is an 802.3 AF compliant solution. And as you can see, it basically just allows you to split out a network connection and the power. We've been doing some long-term testing with this and have had great results. So if it's an immediate need, I would say this is a great avenue to travel.
Yeah, you know, we've lost a lot of deals to Panasonic specifically for PoE, and their camera's twice the price. So it's just for that one feature, it was really kind of like a stick in the
this is just to
eye.
let everybody know. This is about like a $30-$40 solution. The only thing that you would need that doesn't come with it is a barrel adapter.
This is just a vaguely to let you guys know that we will be talking about the NewTek TriCaster control in this. So if you're a TriCaster dealer or you're working with the TriCasters, we're going to talk about how you can control our cameras with the TriCasters and why it's such a good fit. We've been working with NewTek quite heavily on that. We're going to go over the open source control software, and this is really interesting because it's the most downloaded, most requested feature that we have, and it allows for really low budget, or not low budget, but budget-friendly projects to have like a touchscreen control system from an iPad or a computer or anywhere on your network, really.
Yeah.
So this is made for every market. So we've already got one for broadcast or for churches or for corporations or for education. So whether the integrator goes in and customizes that for the customer, or the customer with a very easy to use guide customizes it for themselves, they've got a way to control the camera. Just click a button, goes to the podium. Click another button, it goes to the choir. Another button goes to the whiteboard, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a really nice value add that we're going to be going over in this webinar. The IP interface, so that's this over here. We're going to take a quick look at that for sure. What this is basically the back end of the camera. So as you can see here, we have the ability to tweak audio and video. And of course, again, Matt's going to take us through other new things you'll see on the IP interface is H.264, H.265, and MJPEG. MJPEG is a great one for no compression. So it's really high quality. You can just do a high quality MJPEG dump to an FTP server.
Yeah, that really came out of a client request. We had quite a few people wanting to do a local dump of the basically unaltered video. So they're doing a motion JPEG local to their own file system, and then they're streaming out live using H.264 to the wide world.
The new named presets option is kind of nice if you are using this as your main camera. You can see here that we can like name the presets and then just click them as they go. So we'll show that off in a little bit here. So we'll show off that, and we'll show off the OnVIF device manager, which, can everybody see this? If I show this, can everybody see that? The camera that I'm controlling here? You guys can't, they can't see that? Oh, no, they can't, can they?
You're not sharing it.
Ah, I see. Give me 1 second then. I'm just going to share my whole desktop because that way it'll switch to anything. So this is the OnVIF tool. How do I zoom out?
It's up
Oh,
here.
it's right there.
Yeah.
It's a completely free tool for for controlling the cameras. So pan, tilt, zoom, right over the network, over IP. And as I make changes over here, so if I call a preset, maybe this will be a good way to show this. Yep, there's preset 1. This is directly off the camera. Preset 2, preset 3. Just gives you an idea of how that works. I thought that'd be a nice way to show it off.
There are preset capabilities in OnVIF Device Manager as well.
We're briefly going to take you guys on a website tour, and in that tour, you're going to see 2 Z cams. These cameras just have zoom, so they're very affordable HD-SDI cameras with HD-SDI outputs and IP streaming.
Yep.
$4.99. There's the SKUs there. So again, this PowerPoint will probably be a nice little tool for you guys with the SKUs and the map pricing. Everything is map pricing, and we protect that quite seriously.
Yeah.
We do a good job at it. You want to talk about the wall mounts, Matt?
Yeah, so we've really got 4 varieties of wall mounts. We've got our small wall-mounted wall mount. We've got our larger base. You've got the pipe mount, and then you also have the large base pipe mount. Pipe mounts use a 1-inch threaded pipe. The wall mounts come with all the included hardware to mount it. Outside of that, all are available in black or white.
Those are really popular to go with the cameras, obviously. The only one that's not there is the flush ceiling mount.
Yep.
There is a flush ceiling mount. I believe the map is 60.
Yeah.
And it's just 2 plates to just get that flush mount. In fact, if I swing all the way back up to the picture.
Yeah, you can see it in action.
That's what it looks like there.
Or it doesn't look like it, technically.
And Matt just set up the part number for that. So for camera control, we've got really 3. We have another option for the software too.
Yeah.
But Matt, you want to kind of brief these guys?
Yeah, so we're showing here, unfortunately, the HoloCam remote. It would actually normally be the PTZOptics remote. We've then got the HC Joy, which is your standard RS-232 Visca control. And then we move up into the IP Joy. So using that same OnVIF functionality that we were discussing earlier, this IP joystick, when plugged into the same network, is able to locate the cameras automatically on the network, and you gain pan, tilt, zoom, preset control over the cameras with ease.
Mm-hmm. And we've got a really good video going over the IP Joy if you guys want to check that out. Just setting it up, plugging it in. Basically, you can choose which cameras you want it to have access to. So if you do have a bunch of security cameras on your network also using OnVIF, you may not want it to see all of those.
Yeah, and it depends on the camera. Just because it's OnVIF doesn't mean the keyboard will work for it. The keyboard has specifically been designed in the background for our cameras. There are some other cameras it does work for, but we're not guaranteeing functionality with every on-VIF camera. Going one step further, people are asking, can you use Crestron, Extron, AMX to control these? Yes, you can. Using standard, Visca control commands, our cameras respond quite well.
Yeah, and during the website tour, let's take a stop at that Crestron control. We have the modules already pre-built for you guys. Cables was something that we added recently, just to make it a nice one-stop shop. I know a lot of you integrators already make these custom yourselves, but just to make a full one-stop shop, we added DB9 extenders. So what that allows you to do is extend from the joystick to the first camera, and then there is a male DB9 to 8-pin mini DIN that will connect to the first camera. And then let's just skip this HDSDI for a second. The next one is the cascade cable. So what that allows you to do is that is from the second camera to the third, from the third to the fourth cascade 8-pin mini DIN. 8-pin mini DIN, and then that one there is just obviously platinum rated HDSDI.
Yeah, it actually is 3G rated.
I'm just going to go ahead and just okay, so we just muted everyone except for ourselves. And yep, we're still good. And you guys can unmute yourselves as needed, but somebody came in without muting themselves. So here's a picture of the back of the HDSDI camera. And as you can see, the 3G SDI camera, but you can use the annotation there.
All right, so if we were to take a peek at this camera. All right. We've got our line in. What am I doing wrong here?
Hit the color. Try this. Pen.
Sorry, everybody. I'm not used to using an iOS device.
There you go. Wait a second. There.
Okay. So we've got our line input. The line input will come out over your network stream as well as USB 3 if you have a USB 3 camera. It does not yet come out over HDMI or the 3G SDI. You have your CVS port that puts out your composite video signal. We've got the network port, as we've been discussed. It can be used for network control, streaming, as well as fine-tuning of some of the options the camera has to offer. We also have the HDMI output. HDMI output, obviously, is going to be controlled via the system select switcher here. The other thing that is controlled by that system select is the 3G SDI output. Going one step further, we have our standard RS-232 Visca in and out, as well as RS-485 control. Currently, the USB 2 port is non-functional.
All right, let's skip the annotation next time. That was all messed up on this side. So with the customer journey on HDSDI, what we're seeing is a lot of obviously broadcast applications. So in a school, are they live streaming their school announcements? You know, in a church, are they live streaming their church services? In a school, higher education, is it a graduation? And then in the corporate environment, is it some type of CEO announcement? You know, are they setting up a broadcast studio? Are they just setting up a high-end video conferencing system? These are just some of the questions that they ask. We're not going to go over all of these, but as you can see, it starts at a research stage. Maybe they're using something free like YouTube Live. Then maybe they get up into something more premium. Maybe they're using a TriCaster. They start maybe talking about using green screens and virtual sets. So it's just kind of a pathway, and you can just kind of gauge the interest and how far along your customer is on the journey towards buying a camera. We've got some unique support for all of these different applications. for example, with new tech, we'll talk about the TriCaster control. On vMix, we also support IP streaming control. Wirecast actually supports control over USB.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these other, are just some ideas of different ways. We can actually stream directly to Wowza. And these are just a bunch of different live. There's a ton of them out there. There's so many. So you want to explain the difference here on this USB model, Matt?
Yeah, so what we have here is the exact same camera, except for instead of 3G SDI, you've now got a USB 3 connector. The other oddity, I guess, then, the system select no longer will control your USB 3. Now it's only your HDMI output. The USB 3 would be, resolution changes we've made either using a tool such as AMCAP from Noel Danjou, or you could use software if your software has that capability.
So yeah, pretty much everything's the same here. Audio will come through the USB if needed, which is a nice feature if you're putting in a camera with like a mixer or something.
Yeah.
And you want to just mix it all into one USB. So quite a different journey for the customer when they're doing video conferencing. Maybe they're using Skype, or maybe they're using GoToMeeting or WebEx. You really don't know. In the early adoption stages, do they even have conferencing equipment in their conference room? If they do not, it's probably a good chance for you to talk about choosing the right television size and what their installation options are, and then do they need to do a webinar? Are they just doing video conferencing? And then they might be wanting to do live streaming. And all of these things are kind of the questions that you want to talk to your customer about. And this is what we've put together to kind of understand where customers are in the journey from just starting out to becoming like really into it and starting to innovate. So Matt, you want to talk a little bit about the compatibility here?
Yeah, a little too much to talk about everything. But obviously, as you can see, we hit on most of the large players in the market. The only exception here is that as of the most recent update to Skype for Business, our cameras will no longer function directly. They work fine in Skype, but Skype for Business, you'd have to use something such as like many camera, split cam in between, up until we can figure out what's changed on the Skype for Business side. So it's not that they won't work, but unfortunately you'd need a piece of middleware software to make that happen at the moment.
Yep. Yeah, so that is the only one we know of. Everything else seems to work 100% fine. And then along with that, there's all the learning management systems. Panopto is a big one. MediaSite, Kaltura, Moodle, Blackboard. There's just a ton out there. So that's in the education space. And now we'll go over just a few application diagrams.
Yeah, so this would be a small studio to start. So what we're looking at here is basically just a PC, computer monitor or TV, USB microphone, and a PTZOptics camera. We also have going on here some IP network control of the camera using some wonderful software by a company called Brocosoft. We do make this available to all of our dealers and distributors as well. So this allows you to get far-end control over the cameras. You can get it from a PC, from an iPad. It all depends on which unit or version of the software you select. But it's a really nice, simple setup to get somebody up and running with some really great quality.
So here are the application diagrams here. So we have a medium studio. This one here, we're just saying, instead of one camera, we're adding two. And instead of just using a remote, we're using the RS-232 joystick. So that would have been a DB9 extender to the first one, and then a Cascade Visca 8-pin mini DIN from the first to the second. On the first camera, we're saying it's pretty close to the USB, to the computer. But on that second camera, we're saying that we have an active USB extender that's being powered. So that is a longer, maybe 100-foot, cable run.
All right, so a large studio. Here we're showing basically three of the cameras, SDI to a Roland switcher, if I'm not mistaken.
Roland, yeah.
Yeah. And then we're doing category cabling to the network. and then using the Rokosoft software, the IP joystick, something along those lines to gain control over the cameras. And then streaming out live, obviously, to one of the many delivery networks that exist out there.
I think it might be Blackmagic, but it's, you know, almost any of the devices out there will accept that HDSDI, you know, 1080p 60, 1080p 30 feed there. So this is the TriCaster, and this is the TriCaster Mini. The HDMI version would have been a better example because the HDSDI version currently requires a modulator to modulate full frame 1080p 60 to 1080p 59.94. But on the HDSDI model, we haven't had that same issue. But regardless, the important part is the control there. What we're doing is we're taking the RS-232 to DB9, and we're using a DB9 to USB adapter. And the TriCasters have a bunch of USB ports on there. I am not sure if you need to use a USB hub, if you're going to run out of USB ports or not. But you can control all 4 cameras through the TriCaster and put on a really nice production. So in this example, we're showing the NewTek NDI, which is built into vMix and other applications. And what it allows you to do is, if the school already has a main broadcast studio, now you can plug a USB, you know, any USB camera, but we're showing our cameras here, plugged into a laptop and stream low latency directly into the broadcast studio as if it was a source. So you can add additional sources with video and audio to your broadcast studio from anywhere on your local area network. So that would be any classroom, any additional conference room or space anywhere in your network in the world, really, and it would just show up as a source in the TriCaster. So this is just outlining that cascade male-to-male 8-pin mini DIN that a lot of people sometimes forget about that. It's a specialized cable. It's 8-pin mini DIN to 8-pin mini DIN.
And we do have the pinouts available, I believe, in our knowledge base. So
Yes.
you can either buy them from us or just make sure that the cables you are buying for cascading match the pinouts that we provide.
That's a really good point, Matt. And I bet if we type in pinout, it's going to come right up. So that would be in here.
Yeah, it recently got added, so it might not be as far up on the search results yet.
Mm-hmm. It would be in here. How many can I control? How do I hook them up? How do I set up my cameras for RS-232? All of this stuff is in here. Serial control. Well, anyway, it's in there. And that would be there. And then you want to explain how the IP joystick works?
Yeah, so I think we kind of went over this before, but essentially you plug the IP joystick into the same network as the cameras are on. You go into the network settings on the camera, you turn on the on-VIF feature, and you go back to the joystick and you hit the search button and it will find the cameras on the network. You click add and now the camera becomes available to you. It's really simple and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy using it.
So Rick's saying that he was late. Did you or will you be showing how to get a PTZOptics 12X connected to the network? We can definitely do that, Rick.
It's a pretty elaborate process. It might be best to reference the actual knowledge base on that. The step-by-steps might take a little too long for this show.
Okay, yeah, we're not going to go over an hour, and we'll see what we can show you. But
Rick, if you reach out to either me or Andy directly, we'll be happy to direct you to the knowledge base entries on the myriad of different ways to get your camera up and running on the network.
And we're actually almost done the presentation, so we may have time to show you guys a couple. And I was hoping to show some of the more technical stuff. So here's the PT broadcaster. You know, a lot of broadcast cameras can now be controlled, you know, from anywhere that you can run a serial connection to.
Yeah.
We work with Panasonic, Canon, JVC. Here it is wall mounted there. So just gives you an idea. And I guess that's really it.
Oh, wow.
So now we'll do the tour.
Yeah, and while he gets that pulled up, Rick, just to let you know, I mean, in a basic sense, when you plug the camera in, It has a static IP already of 192.168.100.88. You can either set your PC to be on the same static area, region as that, or you can download the PTZOptics tool to find it on the network, which we're seeing right here.
Yeah, so let's show them where to get this tool. So I'm gonna, Rick, just because you asked, I'm gonna have this up and ready for you. Let's just do the product tour, and then we'll end up at the downloads page where we can show where that is and everything. So at each camera, you obviously can get the data sheet, the user manual, competitive information versus like Sony or Panasonic. Also, one of the things a lot of people don't realize is that this is like a full HD picture. So if you need a picture to send to your client or put on your website, you can just click right there and download it. And just basic stuff like fields of view. Of course, this might be a good thing to take a look at. The data sheet itself, I'm hoping this is the latest and greatest. Let's see what happens if they updated them yet. Because the new data sheets have a third page. Yes. The third page literally links to every other product. So, this is a really great resource. It has all the information about the camera from horizontal to vertical fields of view, breaking out what the remote control does, and then this last page that we just added that will take you from this data sheet to, let's say we wanted to look at the PT Joy, which is the new PT Joy IP joystick. It would just take you right there. So that's nice. On the right-hand side, what you're going to see is all of the different camera control options. So we got an Android app, the broadcast controller, control software. Of course, all the cameras are there too. This is that special software that we talked about where you can do network control. You can control it over UVC, which would be a USB cable, or VISCA, which would be a serial connection. So they're all the same basically, so I just wanted to just pick one of them here. What this does is it allows you to take a picture of your room and then drag and drop the presets out. So that's really nice because then you can just double click and the camera will go to that position. So for any kind of more in-depth places. The other thing is we have this test footage. So if you ever want to take your customer here, we have outdoor test footage, customer applications. Here's the USTA tennis match. Streaming in low light. Just all kinds of different videos with the cameras being used. So if that's ever something that your customers want to look at, that's always good. Of course, we should, I guess, say that coming soon is our PTZOptics Perfect Track. That's an auto tracking camera system. So there's a little bit of information on that and how it works. Basically, there'll be 4 models: 12x USB, 20x USB, 12x SDI, 20x SDI. And in this video here, you can see it grabbing the face of a person there. And you can see the camera following him, even if he turns around. And the MSRP, I'm not exactly sure yet.
I think it's going to be about $6,000.
About $6,000. And that's going to be auto tracking for basically all 4 cameras. So it just is a single camera per box, right?
That's correct.
So that's just a little information on it there. You can request a live demo, or which we can set up for you, or you can actually request a demo unit. Here's where we have all the camera power supplies and everything. You'll notice everything has a SKU, a map, and a UPC. So UPCs are good for loading onto an e-commerce site, whereas a map and a SKU is good for quoting out your customer. You can select a custom cable length. So if you need one that's 500 feet, it'll pop out a price for you, which would be the map price, and you can go from there. So we try to be able to accommodate as much of that stuff as possible. Here's the open source control software. So you can just click download there to download that. It basically has all of these here, education, corporate, stuff like that. some really basic open source stuff that you can go and mess around with. A lot of people have been using this. It looks like Savek's asking what accessories ship with the cameras.
So yeah, with the camera, you get a 8-pin mini DIN to serial connection cable. You get the USB cable, 3 cable if you have the USB model. You have the power supply as well as the power cable. You've got the camera. You've got the batteries. You've got the remote. A bag for the camera to be in, and I mean a plastic bag within the box. The foam padding, the box, a manual,
yeah.
and I think that's it.
Here's the joystick controller. This is like one of my favorites, just because it's plug and play. It's $2.99, very easy to use. We looked at the joystick. Let's take a look at the virtual sets. These are free with any and every camera. So we've got templates for NewTek, for Wirecast, and for vMix. They allow you pretty much for each industry. So you get the complete pack with the camera, but they're also available for sale if somebody, I don't know, already has a camera and just wants the virtual sets. But we have a virtual set for sports and broadcast, one for churches and houses of worship, a whole pack for education market, a pack for banking and finance, and then sales and marketing, as well as some free ones. These ones are just free. Anybody, customer or not, can download those. Those are just some goofy ones. We looked at the mounts, everybody. Everybody saw that. The one mount we didn't see is this one here. This is the PT-CM-1-BK. And this is just a really nice little mount. Every mount is also going to come with an instruction guide, which I'll let that load. But it basically is going to show, hopefully it'll load eventually, the screws that come with it. It is ready for a drywall or a hard wall. It gives you all the different set screws. And it also is built, all of our mounts are built to fit a standard US gang electrical box. So that's very easy to just say, hey, I need an electrical box put there with power, and it'll snap right to it. Now with PoE, maybe you don't even need that. But before we go into this, well, I guess we can go into this. Camera comparison charts, I think, is really good for sales opportunities. Side-by-side pricing and comparisons versus Vadio, Sony, Panasonic, Marshall, Axis, any of our competitors. And if you ever need one made, you just need to let us know. We will make it for you immediately. It's something we're really good at. So let's jump over to the designer. And what this is, see this button here, it says Design Tool. And it's available at designer. And basically what that'll do is that opens up the ability.
So I just want to let you know, it's going to get pushed out.
Sorry. Providing some feedback. Okay, there we go. Got rid of them. So this allows you to go ahead and start building a room for your client right online. So it's great if you're in a GoToMeeting or a WebEx. Let's say they have an 8-person table. They're trying to choose the camera that they need. You can now say, oh, well, look, this camera fits. And you can do everything from displays, here's a display here on the wall, to wireless computer. Maybe they need a computer. You could put that in there. And it actually builds a budget for you. So let's just put down a microphone. Let's put down the Jobber Speak 510. It gets pretty good coverage. You can click Print Out Room, and it will actually print out the room with a budget. You can save this image and put it in your quote to your customer. Submit a ticket. You can very quickly submit a ticket there if you need to do that. Integration videos. This is actually a pretty interesting part of the website. So basically, you can see it here. So Blackmagic, CDN, streaming.tv, New Tech, vMix, Wirecast, YouTube, Zoom. All of these companies, we've created in-depth tutorial videos on how to use the product. So those are all available on the site too. So if you ever have a customer who's saying, how do I do this or that, you will most likely be able to just send them a video link. The other thing is the markets tab here. If you're working on a specific market, whether it be broadcast or corporate or education or healthcare, you should be able to find a diagram that is going to get you to where you want to be. So we looked at a lot of these in our presentation, so I won't bore you with them. But basically, any market you can choose, and then you can go in and you can select and download or send to your customer that page. So now let's take a look at the downloads page. So the downloads page, Matt, I don't know if you want to kind of briefly show us through this.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. We have the data sheets or spec sheets, however you want to call it, user manuals. And if you notice, we do have the Gen 1 stuff as well as the Gen 2. So just make sure, depending on which unit you're using, you get the right stuff. You can also, under our resources section, locate our Visca commands, details on upgrading your firmware, camera dimensions, the tool to set your IP address. This is what we were referring to before, to locate your cameras on the network. We have the TCP, UDP, and CGI control documents, a link to the AMCAP USB tool, which is invaluable if you don't already have it, a link to the open source software, and some of our certifications.
So that IP address settings tool is what I have right here. And basically what this does is it allows you to immediately search your network for all the cameras that are on your network. So as you can see here, 192.168.111.76 is on our network. That's a camera on our network, and I actually have it right here. So yeah, that's it right there, 76. So this tool allows you to very quickly, and we're not going to do this now, but Matt has a video on it, and basically you can go in, select the camera, and set a different static IP address. So if you have an IP address allocated from your IT department for that specific camera, you go in here and you can go ahead and set it.
Yeah, that being said, via the IP interface, you can also set it to be a dynamic address.
Yes, so I think at this point, Matt, I think we should probably go ahead and show this back end of the camera. So this is, if the very first time you go to this, it's going to ask you to log in for security purposes. I've already done that. And we kind of looked at this earlier. You can set all these names and presets for up to 9 right on the home page. The plugin is not supported on Opera for video. But you want to go through this, Matt?
Yeah, so really the main thing that's going to be of most interest is going to start with the first stream. So under the encoding protocol, you've got your H.265, your H.264, your motion JPEG. Resolution's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, they're very simple there. Bitrate, this is preset for you when you select a different resolution. But this is kind of the amount of space it's going to take up on your network bandwidth-wise. A lot of the stuff gets into some fine-tuned settings. Unless you actually know what you're doing, like with the I keyframe intervals, I wouldn't play too much with it. You can wind up having some predictions going on that you might not want. Key example with like an I keyframe interval, if you set it out of range. I saw an example with a plexiglass box. You can watch a ping pong ball bouncing around inside of the box until they set it too high, and then you'll watch the ping pong ball literally be estimated to go outside of the box because it's all digitally done. So just be careful when you're playing with it, but that is a good way that you can lessen the impact on your network. CVR versus VBR is constant bit rate versus variable. So the variable lets it kind of fluctuate as it needs to.
And there's a way to just do some really easy, image changes. There's obviously a lot more on the camera that you can do on the on-screen display menu. This is that line level in here.
Yep, stereo. So you've got the ability to control left or right independently.
This is the RTSP.
No, this is actually a leftover. It's kind of a necessity for some of the legacy systems for that to maintain.
Okay, so it's all here.
But
now.
that is a way that you can reboot the camera remotely using that button on that previous page. So here's where we were saying fixed IP address. You now have the option of a dynamic IP address as well. Great. Well, blues it all out, and then it'll get one upon its next reboot.
Gotcha.
So the port numbers, these can be changed if you needed to. But yet again, to work with most standard software, we'd recommend leaving them where they are. Control settings, for the control protocol settings, this is where you can set different IDs for the cameras depending on the protocol that you're using. RTMP, this is where you can turn on or off the RTMP audio video settings. RTSP is on by default, but if you wanted to create an authentication for it, this is where you'd enable that. OnVIF, as you can see, we have the box checked on. That's how we're able to use the OnVIF device manager with the camera. OnVIF authorization, including a password. Multicast, currently to let people know, the audio does not come out over the multicast. It is only video. And SDK settings, pretty explanatory if you get the SDK package from us.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So that's actually all we have today, guys. So now it's just questions and answers.
Yeah, I did see one that had popped up. Somebody was asking about wireless with the camera. The camera itself does not support wireless. However, you can use a network bridge. I've been using one for the past 2+ years with the PTZOptics cameras at my own house. Really no problems. I'm even only using a wireless end one and don't really have any problems with it dropping out or, some strange digital artifacting. So at the moment, that is what I suggest to most people, is using a wireless bridge. Oh, the Crestron.
The Crestron.
Yeah.
I'll show where that is. So for the Crestron control, you can see here on resources downloads. So we have to go to the downloads page. There's the CAD. You can get the CAD files, and you can get the Crestron and Extron control codes. So they're right here. And literally, you can just download the PTZOptics Crestron control or the Extron control. So those are pre-built modules that your programmers can simply.
For ours too, on the IP versions.
Yes, and we do have the IP
capabilities.
Yes. And the documentation, but the pre-done modules are still being worked on.
Correct.
So if you did need to do it yourself, you could use these.
Yes, that's correct.
This is the PTZOptics TCP, the UDP.
And if you scroll down to the CGI commands, this is actually what's used for building the open source software.
Yes, that's the HTTP commands. That are
very simple at the moment. So do we have any other questions out there? I'm trying to see if there's anything else we didn't get to.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did a pretty good job. I don't think we did everything, but well, I think maybe the PowerPoint really did go over mostly everything.
Yeah, and if people have questions after the fact, obviously reach out to us. We're happy to talk about the stuff. We enjoy what we do, so we look forward to any kind of chance to dive a little deeper or think about something maybe we haven't thought about. And if it is something we know about, we're happy to share what we do know.
Okay. Well, thanks, everyone. We really appreciate having you all here. This video will be available for download after the fact.
Yeah, we promise we'll get Paul up and running for next week with vMix and the whole fun setup all over again.
Yes. Normally we like to live stream this with a bunch of graphics and things, and vMix, I don't have anything nice to say about them right now, but I'm sure they'll help me get it up and running.
I think it's an open source update that went on that might have caused a problem.
They're probably trying to fix it now. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.